Welcome back to another episode of Catch with a Coach. Today we are here at Bowie Stadium in Holland, Michigan, home of the Hope College Flying Dutchman. And today's guest is my good friend, Coach Ryan Dorow, head coach. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be out here. We got a beautiful day out here at Bowie, sun shining, 86 degrees, and hopefully I don't skip a ball. The turf's a little wet today, okay, so we got to keep the ball off the ground a little bit.
All right, let's hop right into it. Here we go. So, Coach, as we hop in here, get our arms loose. Tell me a little bit about your playing career, where you played your college ball, your journey through the minors a little bit, and then what that first major league moment felt like.
Yeah, so I played baseball at Adrian College, same conference as Hope, and, really had an awesome experience at Adrian. Still really good friends with those guys, and was fortunate enough to get drafted in the 30th round in 2017. And that's kind of where it all started with my playing career. With the draft now being 20 rounds, it's just much shorter than it once was. So it was a good time, obviously, and kind of went up through the ranks. I mean, definitely wasn't always the most talented player by any means, and had a couple really good years that, kept me around a little bit. And probably the only person in the world where COVID did something good for me was with the COVID call-up when they had a couple guys on the big league roster that got COVID, and that opened up a spot for 11 days, and really good experience. The Rangers were awesome. I still talk to those guys periodically, just kind of picking their brain on what's going on in professional baseball and what new stuff's getting introduced, and so all in all, it was a really good experience.
That's awesome, man. I mean, we could probably sit here and do a whole separate interview on your time in the minors, but when your career ended up, what kind of inspired you to get into coaching? I mean, obviously you landed here at Hope. What was kind of the driving factor in staying in baseball for you?
So right when in 2022, I got hurt in spring training, and ended up having to get shoulder surgery, and had a torn labrum, dislocated my shoulder, and just kind of felt like when I got home that, I got two kids at home. Well, at that time, one on the way, and then Riley was 3, and just kind of felt that my time was coming to an end a little bit, and 28 in AAA, trying to grind it out still. I just didn't feel like I could, give my all when I was down there, and that wasn't going to be good for my family. It wasn't going to be good for the Rangers, and so it was a hard decision for sure. But I think at the end of the day, like I definitely wanted to stay in baseball. I wanted to stay in Michigan, and I love D3 baseball. I love the MIAA, so that was always attractive to me. And I think staying around baseball and trying to teach as much as I can and be a mentor to some kids is exactly what I wanted to do. And when I got hurt, we had like these mental strength check-ins and stuff over the off season, and I went down there one time, and the only thing that I wanted to do was like talk to the young kids about like what to expect, and I think that was kind of like a light telling me, hey, like, you need to go do something else and use other skills that you have.
That's awesome. I mean, I see it firsthand. I mean, I watch you coach, and you're obviously great with the kids. What was it kind of like when, you played in the MIAA, you mentioned you love D3 baseball. You were conference player of the year, 2 or 3 times, something like that, obviously had a ton of success. What was it like when you transitioned into the minors and you kind of like started getting out consistently for the first time in your life?
Well, I think the one thing like before that was like playing in Northwoods League, and then my sophomore summer I went up to New York, and I was terrible. I hit like 220, and it was a great league. I had a great time, but it was just a really hard transition, seeing 92 mile an hour fastballs for the first time, and that was really the first time in my career where I felt like, gosh, like I need to get better if I really want to do this. And then when I got down to rookie ball my first year, I'll never forget, I flew in, and it was like 127 on the tarmac when I got there. I was like, holy smokes, what am I getting into? And so I got down there, and all of a sudden 92 turned into 97, and really struggled with like power numbers my first year, and just kind of had to like revamp myself to try and hit the ball in the air a little bit more, and just elevate in general, but also still be consistent with 2 strikes. And so it was all a process. And I think that's one thing that I can give to our kids is like, man, like I get where you're at when you're struggling. There's time to revamp, but there's also time to just kind of chill out and understand that you're a couple swings away from being back in a groove.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that's like a really valuable piece that obviously you have from your extensive career, which is awesome to see you pass on to kids. Moving on into the coaching stuff here at Hope. I mean, now that you are a head coach, you're on the recruiting trail. What's kind of one thing that recruits can do that always catches your eye? Like you see this kid at a showcase or a game and it just stops you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is like playing hard. And I think sometimes there's some confusion with what playing hard looks like. It's not like an outcome thing. It's not hitting a bunch of doubles. It's not, throwing the ball hard across the infield. It's just how you show up every day. And, for me, when I go out and recruit, and, whether it's summer ball or high school, it is true. Like everything that you hear about, coaches, looking at how you're walking up to the field, like, what do you look like? Is your hat on sideways? Do you carry yourself in a professional manner? And I think, talent aside, like obviously you want dudes that can hit, you want dudes that can field, you want dudes that can throw it, but you also need kids that are a really good fit. And, here at Hope is a great place.
So with that kind of like recruiting piece, I mean, obviously you mentioned a lot of the like non-measurable things. When you're looking at a kid, let's say you're trying to build your ideal infield recruit, what are some things you would look at that, hey, this guy checks our box here at Hope?
Yeah, I think it depends on, I think it's different from third to second to first to short. I think feet is huge. We always, when we're going to showcases, like the biggest section of a showcase is throwing on the run for me. And, if you can show some athleticism and be able to throw from a couple different arm slots, you got an opportunity to play in the middle. And, on top of that, having our feet being really good. We do some stuff in practice too, like X drill stuff, ladders, and it may seem easy, but a lot of kids just get to the ball and stop and kind of get stuck in the mud a little bit. And it's really attractive when you see, a shortstop, second baseman, third baseman, whatever it may be, just working through the ball really well. And it just kind of shows that they have some feel for the baseball and a good internal clock.
So you're looking at kind of like that playability factor a little bit. I mean, aside from obviously their hands and that internal clock piece you mentioned is huge.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that go along with it, right? I think one of the non-measurables that don't show up on paper is like, have you failed before? Like, do you know how to fail? Because failure is going to come no matter what. And if you don't know how to fail, it's going to be a longer process when we start talking about development in your college career. And the quicker that you can learn that failure is going to come, whether you want it or not, everything else, it's like that mental side of the game. Everything just seems to come a little bit easier and you're a little bit more comfortable.
So with all these dudes you're trying to bring in, I mean, this is going on year 2 for you here at Hope, and you're trying to put a stamp on your own stamp on the culture here and build something special. What are some kind of the pillars that you're trying to build this program on? What kind of kids are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, our pillars for our team, dominate fundamentals, be a good teammate, compete with passion. And when you go and watch kids play, you can see really fast if they compete with passion, if they dominate fundamentals, if they're a really good teammate. And You know, I think that that's just as important as the physical side of things. And you know, one thing that we continue to talk about is just servant leadership, and you know, making sure that especially the upperclassmen are showing the younger guys the ropes. And you know, I think that's going to be a huge part in the program moving forward. You know, and I think one, it helps the baseball side, but also just in life too. I mean, if you can serve others, I think you're on the track to success, and no matter what field you're in. And at the end of the day, that's kind of why we're doing this in the first place.
Heck yeah, that's awesome stuff, man. One last thing before we go. I mean, kids, if you're watching out there right now, I want you to notice he hasn't missed my chest once, and you can obviously hear a better snap on the glove than my weak arm has. This is what a big league arm looks like when he's playing catch. Just takes care of the baseball, locks everything in with his eyes. It's just fun to watch. Last question, Coach. Take me through your most uncomfortable pro ball at bat. Who was it off? What did it look like? Stuff like that.
Holy smokes, it was probably every night. I mean, Emmanuel Clase for sure. He was my teammate in high A when we were with the Kinston Wood Ducks in North Carolina. And you know, it's 102 cutters, it's 93 mile an hour sliders, and for righties it's a really uncomfortable at bat just because all the balls are starting at you and then working back towards the middle of the plate. And you know, Blake Trinan was a tough one. Gratterall was another tough one. Different shape, but you know, sinkers coming in to a righty instead of obviously starting at you and moving, you know, closer to the plate. All the sidearm guys that are high velo are tough, just because you're trying to see the ball start in the middle, but you also have to understand, like, when the ball starts in the middle, it's going to end up all up in your kitchen, and that's why hitting's so hard.
I'm starting to hang a bit. I appreciate your time today.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having
letting
me.
us hear about the Dutch and a little bit about you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.